Welcome to Standard Voice News Channel. I am Samira Ibrahim with the weekend package. But first, the major headlines. Governor Bello Muhammad Matawalli asks emirs to mobilize people for 1 week special prayers on banditry and other criminal activities in Zamfara State. Nigerian Army set to commence exercise Crocodile Smile 4 nationwide. President Muhammad Buhari directs further support to flood-affected states. On business, federal government grants 7-star global airlines operator license. And on the international scene, traffickers profiting as pandemic makes crime harder to crack, UN wants. Now on the news in details. Governor Bello Muhammad Matawalli Maradon has directed emirs and all other traditional rulers in Zamfara State to organize a 1 week special prayer session and seek the intervention of the Almighty God in ending the banditry and other criminal activities in the state. The governor gave the directives on Saturday at Government House Gusau when he received the State Council of Chiefs led by its chairman, the Emir of Zamfara, Al-Hajj At-Tahir Muhammad Ahmad, who paid him a condolence visit over the death of the State People's Democratic Party PDP chairman, Al-Hajj Ibrahim Mallaha, and an elder statesman in the state, Senator Yusha Muhammad Anka. The governor, who declared that his administration is making concerted effort to bring an end to the menace of armed banditry, kidnapping, and other criminal activities in the state through the stick and carrot approach, insisted that there is need for constant prayers in order to seek for the divine intervention. He therefore directed them to mobilize imams and Islamic clerics to embark on special prayers at mosques and other preaching sessions for an end of the menace. He thanked the emirs for the condolence visit, describing the death of late Al-Hajj Ibrahim Mallaha and Yusha Muhammad Anka as shocking to all and well-meaning people of Zamfara State. Earlier, the chairman of Zamfara State Council of Chiefs and Emir of Zamfara, Al-Hajj At-Tahir Muhammad Ahmed, who led the 17 emirs to the visit, said they were at the government house to register their condolence to the government and people of the state over the death of Al-Hajj Ibrahim Mallaha and Yusha Muhammad Anka. The emir said, late Ibrahim Mallaha lived a very simple life worthy of emulation by any politician, and prayed for Almighty Allah to forgive all his shortcomings and grant his family the fortitude to bear the loss. Other callers at the government house to pay their condolence to the governor included Zamfara State Islamic clerics under the umbrella of Zamfara State Council of Ulama, led by its chairman, Malam Abubakar Aliyu Fari, and the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC Zamfara State Council, led by the NLC chairman, Comrade Bashir Muhammad Mafara. Governor Bello Muhammad Matawalli Maradon has named the state legislature complex under reconstruction after the late PDP chairman in the state, Al-Hajj Ibrahim Mallaha Gusau. Governor Matawalli, who in a statement by the SA Media and Communication Zailani Bappa made the announcement when members of the State House of Assembly paid him a condolence visit at the government house. He said the decision to name the complex after him is to immortalize him and further endorse his quality of justice and fair play, not only in politics, but in all his endeavors while he lived. The loss of Ibrahim is a loss to justice and a loss to the people in the state. The governor described the deceased as humble, just, and honorable. He was not the type to accuse anyone, but always asserting his energy to bring people together. Earlier, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Right Honorable Nasir Muazu Magaria, told the governor that the entire legislators in the state were at the government house to extend their condolence over the death of their chairman. He said that when he lived, late Mallaha treated them like his own children, consulted and guided them even as they were aspiring for these positions. Other callers at the government house to pay their condolence included the PDP Executive Council of Kebbi State and special delegation from Katarkwashi community. Others included the Forum of State Executive Council, the Forum of Special Advisors, the Forum of Directors General, the Government House Media Crew, and the Protocol Office of the Government House. The All Progressive Congress (APC) has expressed optimism that it will win the forthcoming House of Assembly by-election to be held in Bakura local government area in October 31st. Addressing thousands of APC supporters at the flag-off campaign in Bakura town Saturday, the APC chairman Alhaji Lawal M. Liman said the party's candidate Alhaji Bello Dankandagamji would emerge victorious considering his popularity in the local government. Alhaji Liman explained that Dankande was a man of the people who contributed immensely to the development of both Bakura local government and Zamfara state. As such, his chance of winning the forthcoming by-election was just a matter of time. The chairman called on members of the party to be law-abiding during the election, adding that they should not do anything that would create chaos or confusion during and after the election. He urged the members of the party to borrow a leaf from President Muhammadu Buhari's policy of Akasa, Araka, Asari, meaning you vote and wait for your votes to be counted. Also speaking during the rally, the APC's candidate Alhaji Bello Dankandagamji called on the security agents to remain neutral and provide adequate security during and after the election. Alhaji Dankande maintained that the issue of rigging during the forthcoming by-election by anybody will never be tolerated by APC supporters. The Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress (APC), Yekini Nabena, has said that the next presidential candidate of the party will be based on agreement by stakeholders. Mr. Nabena, speaking with The Sun, also suggested measures the Southeast geopolitical zone can adopt to actualize Igbo presidency in 2023. He explained that the unity of the country is more important than any zoning agreement. Mr. Nabena added that every zone will be involved in the stakeholders meeting and urged the Igbos to know that getting political positions involves lots of negotiations and lobbying, not by whipping up sentiment or by force. The Nigerian Army is set to start its annual exercise Crocodile Smile, which is traditionally conducted in the last quarter of the year. This year's exercise Crocodile Smile 4 is scheduled to commence from the 20th of October to the 31st of December 2020. The exercise is deliberately intended to be all-encompassing to include cyber warfare exercise designed to identify, track, and counter negative propaganda in the social media and across the cyberspace. This is the first ever cyber warfare exercise to be conducted in the history of the African Armed Forces. Accordingly, the exercise will also include positive identification component aimed at identifying Boko Haram terrorists fleeing from the northeast and other parts of the country as a result of the ongoing operations in the various theaters of operations, especially in the northeast, north central, and northwestern parts of Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, in a statement on Friday night, apologized for the delay in the implementation of the demands of NSAS protesters. The protest against police brutality and the notorious Special Anti-Robbery Squad (SAS) of the Nigerian Police Force has gained global traction after a rigorous campaign on social media. Peaceful demonstration is also going on in major cities in the country. While the disbandment of the police unit has been achieved, some other demands of the protesters have not been fully met. These include the prosecution of killed cops, the release of all protesters in detention, and the total overhaul of the police. In his statement, the Vice President admitted that the process of implementation could have moved faster than the way it is. The Vice President noted that many felt that the administration had been too silent and have simply not done enough. These feelings of frustration are justified, and many people have been brutalized at the hands of the police, and this is unacceptable. A professor of History and International Relations at University of Ibadan, Professor Alexander Adebisi, has disclosed that the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is sponsoring the ongoing NSAS protest going on in the southern state of the country. Professor Adebisi made this known during an interview on Saturday with This Nigeria Now. According to the professor, the former governor of Lagos and self-acclaimed leader of the All Progressives Congress (APC) was sponsoring the protest in order to cripple the country and discredit the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari internationally. This is the same strategy they used against former President Jonathan. He recalled that they promoted the Bring Back Our Girls to the point that it got international sympathy. The only challenge Tinubu is facing now is that he is yet to get the northern youths to join the protest, the same way the North got the Southerners to join the protest against Jonathan. Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum on Saturday supervised the distribution of building materials and cash to 1,111 families who will reconstruct their homes across 25 villages in Jere local government area. The distribution is one of the government's resettlement policies, even though the government at many instances builds and reconstructs thousands of homes on major projects. Each of the 1,111 families empowered for resettlement has at least 6 members. They will be returning to safe communities they lived before they were displaced years ago. At a brief ceremony which took place in Yauri, each family, called a household, received building materials and cash to renovate their houses and pick up the pieces of their lives. Governor Zulum assured the communities of government's continuous assistance in ways that will boost access to livelihood in irrigation agriculture, taking advantage of potentials in the shores of Lake Alau. In a related development, Governor Babagana Umar Zulum declares Monday, 19 October 2020, a fasting and prayers day in Borno, following a consultation and meeting with religious and community leaders. The governor's declaration for the fasting is to further sustain the feat gained by the armed forces in the fight against insurgency. He therefore enjoins the good people of Borno and beyond to be more prayerful in their quest to end insurgency and other criminalities in the state, northeast region and the country at large. To further consolidate on the farmers-herders peaceful relationship in Kano, due to the establishment of Ruga Settlement Project, Governor Abdullah Umar Ganduje inaugurated Stock Routes Demarcation Committee with a view to strengthening the Ruga project. The inauguration was done at the headquarters of Kano Agricultural and Rural Development Authority, Hadeja Road, Kano. During the inauguration, there were donation of motorcycles to extension workers and launching of 2020-2021 dry season rice production inputs. Referring back to history, he observed that in those days there was no rift between farmers and herdsmen. That was when farmers could invite herders to come to their farmlands and get food for their cattle, and in return, farmers will get fertilizer for their farms from the visiting cattle. The federal government has directed civil servants on grade level 10 and below to resume duty with effect from Monday. It, however, said no worker will be allowed entry into any government offices without face masks. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Dr. Folasade Yemi Esan, gave the directive in a circular dated October 16, 2020. Since the lockdown declared by the federal government to curtail the further spread of COVID-19, only civil servants on grade level 12 and above, as well as those on essential duties, have been going to work. But the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 had on Thursday announced another phase of ease lockdown, in which it said all civil servants were free to resume. President Muhammadu Buhari Saturday took stock of the flood situation in the country and authorized the dispatch of special teams to deliver urgently needed assistance to 12 states most ravaged by the seasonal rains. The states to receive the teams conveying reinforcement of reliefs and other equipment through the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA), where Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Kogi, Edo, Anambra, Delta, Kano, Jigawa, Rivers, Bayelsa, and Adamawa. Some of the states that have been reached with the first wave of support from the presidency are Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Sokoto, Jigawa, and Kaduna. President Buhari once again expressed the nation's sympathy to the victims of the floods, many of whom had lost family members, homes, and valued investments in agricultural crops and livestock. The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has created a new hashtag, Aceci Jama'a, Save the People, and shared it with a song highlighting the insecurity and killings in the northern part of the country. The region is battling with Boko Haram in the northeast and banditry and kidnappings in the northwest and north central. There are ongoing widespread protests across the country to bring to an end to police brutality and proscription of notorious police unit SAS. The State Security Service (SSS) on Friday night grilled 4 leaders of coalition of northern groups who are planning to stage protests over insecurity in the north with a hashtag End Insecurity Now. In June last year in Katsina, Mrs. Buhari had lamented the killings in the north, saying the security agents should either assist to take action or allow the situation continue until bandits finished killing the people. On business, the federal government has granted 7-star global hangar license to operate the first African premium airline. With the airline transport license, the first private independent aircraft maintenance, repair and overhaul firm in West Africa said it was prepared to operate fixed and rotary wings. Its managing director, Isaac Balami, told reporters on Friday at the domestic wing of the Murtala Muhammad Airport, Lagos, the airline would deliver world-class aviation services with customer satisfaction as its selling point. The former president of the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers said the airline is established to bring perfection into the aviation industry as they target zero incident and zero accident. They understand that there is no parking space in the air, therefore safety is their watchword. They aspire to be the safest airline in the world, providing excellent service. And on the international scene, human traffickers are capitalizing on the coronavirus pandemic to target people ranging from jobless migrants to out-of-school children. 2 UN specialists said, warning that the fallout from COVID-19 had driven the crime further underground. The expert said, the global economic slowdown has left countless people jobless, desperate, and at risk of exploitation, while victims of trafficking are less likely to be found or receive help with attention and resources diverted elsewhere. An estimated 25 million people worldwide are victims of labor and sex trafficking, according to the United Nations, with concerns growing that more will fall prey as support services are halted and efforts to secure justice are hindered. Mr. Siobhan Mulali, the recently appointed UN Special Rapporteur on Human Trafficking, said the difficulty is that trafficking is now even more underground and less visible. More people are at risk, especially in the informal economy. There are opportunities for traffickers to recruit, exploit, prey on people's desperation. Labor advocates said about 2.5 billion people, more than 60% of the world's workforce, are informal workers, leaving them particularly at risk of being underpaid and abused. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. Before we go, a quick look at the major headlines. Governor Bello Muhammad Matawalli asked emirs to mobilize people for 1 week special prayers on banditry and other criminal activities in Zamfara State. Nigerian Army set to commence exercise Crocodile Smile 4 nationwide. President Muhammad Buhari directs further support to flood-affected states. On business, federal government grants 7-star global airlines operator license. And on the international scene, Traffickers profiting as pandemic makes crime harder to crack, UN wants. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garbatino, I am Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant weekend. Keep watching Standard Voice Television News. Goodbye.